According to a very discouraging but not so surprising recent poll, a majority of Trump voters in 2024 say they're backing Trump because he owns the Libs and because they think he actually won in 2020. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. All right, folks, at this channel, we are unapologetically critical of the Republican Party, particularly Republican leadership, and with good reason, okay? They are not a good governing party. They are not a serious governing party. Their record with respect to policy and policy preferences and all these things are terrible. They're good at pissing people off, hyping up fear, and scoring culture war points. That's it. But they are, in terms of responsible governance and progressing society, they're dead weight and have been for years, if not decades. Sometimes people say, Josiah, you are entirely too critical of the GOP. You are too harsh on them. But then when they say stuff like that, I want to direct them to polls like this, okay? So this is a recent poll from CBS News, courtesy of YouGov, actually. And it says, among likely Republican voters who are backing Trump in the 2024 presidential primary, 75% say it's because he actually won in 2020. A supermajority believe that he won in 2020 despite all evidence to the contrary and the complete absence of evidence to support the claim. As a reminder, that argument that Trump made, that claim that Trump and Trump supporters made throughout 2020 and 2021, and some in 2022 and some even to this day, was litigated multiple times, at least 60 times, in various courts across the United States, very often in front of conservative Republican-appointed judges, some of whom were appointed by Donald Trump himself. And the Trump campaign lost every single court case save one. That's how strong the evidence is in favor that the 2020 election was proper and secure and safe, okay? But you say a lie enough times and certain people are inclined to believe it, particularly conservatives, it seems, who are very cultish when it comes to Donald Trump. That's a terrible statistic. 75% of people are voting for Trump in 2024 because they believe he actually won in 2020, despite all evidence to the contrary, despite this, nearly $800 million payout that Fox News just had to cut a check for because it was proven again in the court case against Dominion that they knowingly lied about the 2020 election, that even Fox News knew it wasn't rigged. Despite, all of these things, despite Trump's own Attorney General Bill Barr coming out, despite his own head of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity, Chris Krebs, despite them all coming out, FBI, every law enforcement agency in the world, even dedicated conservative justices and legal experts and judges coming out and saying, no, the 2020 election was secure. This man is nuts. Donald Trump is nuts. He lost fair and square. That's a depressing statistic that 3/4 of Trump supporters believe he actually won in 2020. But you know what? There are a couple of there's one other that really bothers me too. But, 65% say they want to show support for him, for his legal fights. Bad enough, but whatever, understandable, I guess. 64% say they like him personally. That's weird. There's no accounting for taste. Guy's an insecure dick, but whatever. Fine, fair enough. The one that really bothers me, actually nearly as much as the 75% statistic, is he makes the liberals angry. Now, here's the thing. The reason that bothers me is because what this has done to the art of trolling. I remember when trolling was a noble profession, when you would just kind of tease people you like, or even strangers on the internet on message boards when you're talking politics or whether or not Goku could beat Superman in a fight or whatever. There was an artistry to proper trolling. But now the memery and nonsense has infected the body politic offline too. It's not just relegated to Twitter and Reddit and other things. It's bad enough and it's pervasive there. But you actually have people making major decisions like voting because it annoys the opposition to own the Libs. A majority of Trump supporters are voting for Trump because he owns the Libs. How sad is that? That is sad. It doesn't make me mad that they're doing it. It bothers me because they're cutting their nose off to spite their face. We've talked about this before, but red states and Trump-supporting counties and all these things, they don't do well under Republican leadership. Red states tend to be the poorest, the fattest, the least educated, the most unhealthy, the most reliant on government subsidies. Not that blue states don't have their problem, but even if you adjust per capita, red states tend to have more crime. Red states overall, by most metrics, do worse than blue states. Not that blue states don't have room for improvement, but it's like you are so consumed by hate for the opposition that you will elect leaders who are incompetent and corrupt. Trump, for example, have no leadership experience, and certainly on a civic level, because he makes certain liberals or leftists or progressives upset. Really weird, man. I mean, it's just like it's like talking yourself out of a nice meal to eat dog feces because it makes whoever you're standing next to flinch. Ha ha! I owned you by eating dog. Like I don't understand. That's sad, and it's an indictment of the Republican leadership and the conservative thought leaders who have promulgated these weird, cringy, reactionary, trollish beliefs. People like Ben Shapiro, people like Michael Knowles, Steven Crowder, all Elon Musk, ha ha ha, we're going to knowingly adopt bad policy, which will probably screw us over too, but just to own the libs. It's sad and pathetic. And it shows that the Republican Party as an institution has really jumped the shark. So again, just as a reminder, keep this in your back pocket. 75% of likely Trump supporters believe he won in 2020, despite all the evidence to the contrary. And a majority, a small majority, barely a majority, but a majority, are also voting for him to own the libs. So now you have to decide whether or not the GOP has any worthwhile ideas left in it, because clearly the polling indicates they do not.